Hello and welcome to your daily dose of Satoshi's news. Today's date is Tuesday, the 30th of July, 2024, the year of a million transactions per second or more. Experience the best of both worlds today at betbitcoinsv.com, the best casino and sports betting on chain. Have a little flutter in private using the original protocol and genuine Bitcoin. Right, let's see what we got today. So we've got this one, Justice for the Masses, the real battle for BSV. This is to do with the BSV claims case that's going on. You got this statement here to report on. This guy, Andrew Coate, with 68,000 followers, asking if there are any solutions out there. And BSV is right in front of his face. Great reply there by Stefan Neal. Thanks to Nom for pointing that out. Another article here saying EU banks subject to new rules on digital assets, digital asset holdings. Then we've got a Truth Machine reporting on BSV claims. Then we've got the BSV claims versus Bittylicious Limited and others. And that is what we've got in store for us today. So let's get into it.
Satoshi, like a cowboy in the West, riding on the blockchain that they call the very best. 1 million strong, them transactions flying free. Just wait for the terror node, you'll surely see.
Here we go. Right. Justice for the Masses, the real battle for BSV. This was just 3 hours ago. So, BSV Claims Limited. Let's have a quick look at that link there. Might get involved in that. So this says Lord David Curry of Marleybone, through BSV Claims Limited, has launched consumer protection proceedings in respect of the collusive delisting of Bitcoin Satoshi Vision BSV in April 2019 by 4 prominent crypto exchanges. The claims in the UK's Competition Law Tribunal are being brought on behalf of anyone who held BSV on the 11th of April 2019 and who has been resident in the UK. Those holders saw and continue to see their BSV worth less, or in some cases saw their BSV expropriated entirely by cryptocurrency exchanges. The case is groundbreaking, being the first Bitcoin-related competition law claim in the UK. BSV Claims Limited has set up this website to provide information about this claim. Loving that. So BSV Claims Limited collective proceeding against 4 digital asset exchanges that delisted the BSV token in April 2019 has been certified and will proceed to trial in the United Kingdom. In June, a hearing was conducted in London's Competition Appeal Tribunal, which is CAT, in the collective proceedings, basically the UK equivalent of a class action lawsuit filed in August 2022 by BSV Claims Limited under the command of Lord Curry of Marleybone, a veterated consumer rights warrior and CAT founding chairman. The suit accuses 4 digital asset exchanges, Binance, Bittylicious, Kraken and Shapeshift, of violating the Competition Act 1998 through their collective delisting of the BSV token in 2019. On July 26th, the CAT unanimously granted the application for certification, ruling that the threshold for approving the claim had been met. The CAT rejected Binance's bid to strike out the claim, saying the matter involves findings of fact that can only be determined at trial. The CAT did agree with Binance that there was some question as to whether BSV holders were under an obligation to take reasonable steps to mitigate their losses, i.e. sell their BSV before the delistings took their full toll on the token. This matter will likely be resolved at a preliminary issue trial ahead of the full trial. Regardless, it's clear victory for the hundreds of thousands of BSV token holders who suffered by the actions of these exchanges. The trial is likely to expose the true motivations behind the delistings of BSV. Wow, that would be huge. I wonder what BS excuses they're going to try and come up with. Wow, that would be. I would listen in just hear that. It's like, right, what bullshit is he going to come out with now? How we got here: Binance founder and current US federal prison inmate, just drop that in there, Changpeng Zhao, got the ball rolling in April 2019 by publicly declaring his intention to delist BSV from Binance, the world's largest exchange by trading volume. This move was followed within 24 hours by the exchanges cited above. Later, more exchanges joined the delisting party due to the resulting negative impact on BSV's trading volume / fiat value. Prominent mining pools dropped support for BSV as its fiat value decreased, resulting in further downward pressure. Meanwhile, exchanges like Coinbase opted against listing BSV at all, despite Coinbase's propensity for listing every purpose-free meme coin under the sun, particularly those in which its venture capital arm has a stake. Binance co-founder Yi He recently did a Twitter, X Space, for the exchange's Mandarin-speaking customers, in which she was asked about Binance's delisting standards. Yi He noted that delisting causes harm to both project parties and token holders, so we strive to remain objective. Quite. She added that the exchange conducted detailed analysis to ensure accurate decisions. Presumably, that did not involve working out how many innocent investors in BSV would be harmed by the collateral, estimated by a leading firm of economists to be 240,000. There's no question of the harm suffered by the customers of the 4 exchanges named in the suit. Some of them were even told to put their tokens off the exchanges ASAP before they were forcibly converted to other tokens, including BTC. Flawed logic. In a preliminary hearing to certify the suit under the class action rules of UK competition cases, Binance's attorney argued that the exchange owed BSV holders nothing, claiming these customers had suffered due to their own entirely voluntary decisions. What a joke. Binance's lawyers argue that customers had been given the option of selling their BSV and using their proceeds to acquire a comparable cryptocurrency. That's absolutely outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. I mean, if that isn't forcing the hand or coercion, I don't know what is. Unbelievable. I heard an expression the other day that said, God invented Satan so that God wouldn't get the blame. And he also invented lawyers so that Satan wouldn't get the blame. Oh dear, something along those lines anyway. With respect to this is absurd, you can't deliberately damage an asset with a cartel and then complain that the owner should have sold it. Nor would BSV holders be happy with BTC as a substitute for BSV. They would no doubt point out that BSV is special, which is why they chose it in the first place. Again, I mean, what they're trying to do is lump all these tokens in the same bracket. Oh, they're just as crappy as each other. They're all speculative pieces of crap. You know, that's their argument, because they don't want anybody looking at the fundamentals anyway. Oh, you could have just sold it for this token. That's not the point. They're not looking at the consensus mechanism. It's absolutely outrageous. BSV is the only blockchain that can trace an unbroken path, exactly, unbroken chain of signatures, back to Bitcoin's Genesis block. It's the only blockchain with a locked protocol that guarantees it will never deviate from the visionary path laid down by Satoshi Nakamoto in 2008. It's the only chain committed to unbounded scaling to handle enterprise and government level data needs. The only chain that can combine with IPv6 and artificial intelligence to create Metanet, the internet of the future. And the BSV token is the currency, well, it's not actually currency, that will connect all of these elements. Again, I mean, that's the wrong word there. It's not currency. It's money. It's a commodity, and it's the only digital commodity. Bit disappointing to have that kind of language on a CoinGeek article. As such, to paraphrase MicroStrategy, boss Michael Saylor, there is no digital asset comparable to BSV. It's like asking someone to trade their 1957 gold top Gibson Les Paul for some cheap Chinese-made Stratocaster. You could make that trade, but you'd end up committed to an institution by your friends and family who'd ground concerned over the powers of reasoning. Absolutely. Birds of a feather collude together. Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations contains a lot of famous quotes, but for the moment, let's focus on this one. People of the same trade seldom meet together, even for merit and division. But the conversation ends in a conspiracy against the public or in some contrivance to raise prices. In the wake of the FTX exchange's November 2022 implosion, both the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal revealed details on an exclusive group chat on the Signal encrypted messaging platform called Exchange Coordination. Participants included CZ, Kraken's then CEO Jesse Powell, FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried, Tron founder Justin Sun, and Paolo Ardoino, representing the Tether USD stablecoin. That is outrageous. See, look, they're all in bed together, colluding, doing this. In the class action, BSV Claims Limited is saying that the 4 exchanges cited in the CPO colluded or coordinated to throw sands in BSV's gears. But what was the ultimate aim behind these exchanges delisting BSV? Why go through the risk of not only engaging in anti-competitive tactics, but to do it so publicly? As the saying goes, follow the money. And again, if they're saying, oh, swap BSV for BTC, that's like swapping Binance token for FTX token. Like, honestly. And now FTX token is worth absolutely jack shit because FTX isn't there. Literally, it's just... Well, we know what's going on, but I still have the right to rant and rave because I feel as though I need to just let it out. CZ originally claimed the delisting was in response to lawsuits filed against some BTC social media influencers by Dr. Craig Wright, a figure firmly linked to BSV in the public consensus. But CZ let the mask slip the very next day by admitting his annoyance at BSV causing BTC's fiat value to slip below a certain point, presumably triggering some liquidations of his pals or his own derivative bets. Absolutely. What's this? Sui Bono. Make no mistakes, there are some powerful players who would like to see the utility-focused BSV die on the vine, including Blockstream, absolutely, whose developers played a key role in constraining Bitcoin's ability to expand beyond its original limits, which Satoshi always intended as temporary, according to his emails to developer Mike Hearn. These developers wanted to force customers into their proprietary Layer 2 Lightning network that never seems to work and keeps exposing customers to potentially catastrophic losses. BSV, which can do it all on its ever-expanding and secure main layer, has no need for Layer 2s. MicroStrategy's Sailor wants to preserve the hobbled version of, say, Gregcoin as digital gold and inert shiny brick, good only as collateral to borrow. Actually, well, again, they're using money there. You should use money before. BSV is money, and then borrow actual currency. You're getting the words mixed up. It's currency. It's fiat currency that you're borrowing as collateral. Oh dear, oh dear. Over the past few years, Sailor has transformed MicroStrategy into BTC holding company. The success of a blockchain like BSV that prioritizes function over form would chip away at BTC's store of value mantra, not to mention MicroStrategy's share price. Yeah, absolutely. Exchanges like Coinbase and Kraken want to continue earning lucrative commissions from listing and promoting utility-free meme coins as the next can't-miss get-rich-quick scheme. BSV is the antithesis of a casino chip fed into the to-the-moon slot machines that only pays off for pump-and-dump insiders. Absolutely. BSV's scalability enables true peer-to-peer transactions without intermediaries at a cost measured in fractions of a cent, making it ideal for micro and nano payments. What other blockchain, particularly one as limited as BTC, would want to compare itself in public to BSV? Absolutely. Ask yourself this: which blockchain more accurately resembles Satoshi's statement that Bitcoin never really hits a scale ceiling? BSV with its blocked measured in gigabytes, or BTC with its measly 4 megabyte cap? Which chain honours the white paper's commitment to allowing any two willing parties to transact directly with each other without the need for a trusted third party? BSV with its ability to process millions of transactions in a single block at virtually no cost to users, or BTC, which forces users onto Blockstream's proprietary Layer 2, the very definition of a fiscal intermediary. Yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, BSV continues to honour the original Satoshi tradition through innovations like Terranode, which prove that Satoshi's original plan for Bitcoin was correct. Proof of the pudding: the BSV claims exchanges haven't seen fit to relist BSV following the recent UK court ruling that Craig Wright is not Satoshi. If their battle was with Wright, that battle is now over. Of course. They can't even say, oh, Craig isn't Satoshi. Okay, well, he's not Satoshi. You know? What's that got to do with BSV? We've got no excuse. That's hilarious. Indeed, the Crypto Open Patent Alliance judge's decision to announce his preliminary verdict from the bench rather than make people wait for his written ruling seems to suggest that it was relatively easy to conclude that Wright's claims weren't taken all that seriously. The fact that the exchanges have offered no indication that BSV will be welcomed back onto their platforms suggests their real problem was always with the technology, not an otherwise obscure Australian polymath. as the original Bitcoin utility-focused BSV is the very definition of disruptive technology. Unbounded scaling, low transaction fees, and environmentally responsible proof-of-work consensus mechanism is a lock protocol, the only blockchain that can scale to meet the needs of governments and enterprise. What's not to love? Exactly. Or to fear. If your business depends on no one knowing that blockchains are capable of doing anything more than number go up, small world then that the protocols focus solely on financial speculation and the exchanges whose business model relies on endless token flipping in the pursuit of quick riches, felt threatened by BSV's rising profile. There's no question that this anti-competitive attack led to an immediate and precipitous drop in the BSV token's value and has had a hamstring of effects ever since. There seems little reason to doubt that BSV would have at least matched BTC's price, but for the delistings, and that is before taking into account the technical superiority of the BSV product. The exchanges were both the cause and the catalyst for the significant and unwarranted decline, and they should be made to pay for the harm they inflicted on so many BSV holders. But this is an offence that goes far beyond a couple 100,000 BSV holders. Given BSV's unique utility and its ability to create a multi-trillion-dollar ecosystem on MetaNet, the delistings are responsible for suppressing the arrival of the Internet of the future. This is an offence against the global population. The damage is almost incalculable in their immensity. As a wide Roman once observed, let the punishment fit the crime. Woohoo! Loving that. I actually really enjoyed that article. Well done. Excellent. Loving that. Right, let's go on to this. So Andrew Coate here, who's got 68,000 followers, calls himself an engineer, physicist, storyteller, host of Deep Tech Week, and chief hyperstition officer at hyperstition. Okay, whatever. So he said here, I'm looking for a blockchain solution that can encrypt and store documents for proof of originality, something that is absolutely possible to forge or tamper with. Any solutions out there? Yeah, and Stefan Nielsen has said sign-on-chain ID does this job. It exactly does that job. I mean, this is crazy. Literally, sign-on-chain does exactly that. It encrypts and stores documents for proof of originality. Yeah, any solutions out there? I mean, this is brilliant. Literally, drag, drop, scan, sign, and send, seal, and store. You know? Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, that is exactly what Bitcoin is meant for. And after all these years, and he still doesn't know about the genuine Bitcoin. How crazy is that? I wonder if he'll actually pick up on that. Or whether he'll just ignore it because he's a shitcoiner. I'm guessing it'll be the latter. This article here, 12 hours ago, says EU banks subject to new rules on digital asset holdings. Oof. What could this mean? I mean, especially in light of the US saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to create a Bitcoin fund to back the US dollar." You know, well, let's see what it says now. This month, the European Banking Authority, the EBA, published its final draft of a new technical standards package for the European Union banking sector, which includes a slew of additional requirements governing banks' ability to hold digital assets. These new standards have been adopted by the European Parliament to align with Basel III reforms introduced by the Basel Committee on Banking Supervision in the aftermath of the 2007-2008 global financial crisis. The BCB is a committee of global banking supervisory authorities enabled by the central bank governors of the G10 to issue and maintain international banking standards. The Basel III reforms were intended to strengthen the resilience of the banking sector. Yeah, even though the Commodities Futures Modernisation Act signed in 2000 by Bill Clinton was designed to do exactly the opposite and actually manufacture the 2008 financial crisis that was conveniently covered up the following year on the events of 9/11/2001. You know, outrageous. Among the changes included in the reforms was an increase in the minimum capital requirements for banks to ensure they are sufficiently able to withstand losses in times of turmoil. It also includes an overhaul of the BCB's risk-rated framework, which assigns a weight to assets based on their risk, which is then used as the basis for determining how much capital a bank must have in reserve relative to the holdings of the asset. I mean, this is outrageous when they're saying how much reserves. I mean, there should be one-to-one reserves for everything. Once agreed by the BCBs, new standards are left to its members to member states to implement. For the EU, these implementations are known as the CRR3 or CRD6, and the specifics were published this month. Perhaps most significantly, under the EU standards, crypto asset exposure is assigned a risk weight of 1,250%, and a bank's exposure must not exceed 1% of its core assets. The exceptions to these are asset reference stablecoins, in other words, stablecoins that are pegged to the other assets as defined by Europe's markets in crypto asset regulation, which were weighted at 250%, and tokenized additional assets, including e-money tokens. Notably, the requirements adopted by the EU are stricter than those mandated under the Basel III reforms. For example, the Basel III reforms set a 2% upper limit for banks' digital asset exposure, as opposed to the 1% implemented by the EU. Large banks will also be subject to additional reporting requirements for their digital asset exposure. Each year, banks must disclose to regulators their direct and indirect exposure to digital assets, risk exposure, a description of the bank's risk management policies related to digital asset exposure, and more. The new EU standards will become effective from January 2025. EU steadily narrowing the regulatory gap, the EU is already further ahead than many jurisdictions in introducing a legal framework for digital assets, with the groundbreaking Markets in Crypto Asset Regulation, which covers many digital assets not already regulated under existing rules governing financial instruments, and formally entered into force in June 2023. Though its provisions, still being revised, are set to activate in stages. As a result, in constructing the CRR3 and CDR6 packages, the EU has grafted many of the Basel III requirements into MICA's foundation. For example, the definition used in the rules set out above, such as the asset reference tokens, are defined by that markets in crypto asset regulations. Between markets and crypto assets regulations and the new incoming CRR3 and CDR6 standards, the gap in digital asset regulation in the EU are narrowing all the time. The new standards mean that the banks will now need to carefully consider the digital assets they hold on their balance sheet and assess the level of risk their presence poses. This reflects a recognition that digital assets of many kinds will continue to cross over into the traditional finance system as banks increase their holdings and digital asset issuers increasingly to use traditional finance institutions. However, some gaps remain. The markets in crypto assets generally applies to digital asset services instead of digital assets themselves, though a limited number of digital asset types are covered, including stablecoins. Though the exact boundaries are still being teased out, assets such as BTC do not fall within the markets in crypto assets directly on the EU's legislators' understanding that they are fully decentralized. Oh dear, massive fail there. Assets that do not fall under the crypto or the markets in crypto assets may still be regulated if they fit within the definition of a financial instrument provided by the oh my goodness me, what's this? MIFID regulation, but the definition is a narrow and somewhat elusive one, and likely doesn't cover assets such as BTC unless the EU sees the light and recognises it as a security. Good to see CoinGeek pointing that out. They see the light and they recognise that BTC is a security. Absolutely it is. Still, the rules applicable to digital asset services providers should have an effect in the broader industry regardless of the status of many individual assets. Entities offering digital asset services in the EU are required to obtain a license that, at a national level. They are subject to added requirements such as holding an EU office implementing and reporting and anti-money laundering controls, and only listing digital assets that they are supported by a white paper. The white paper requirement alone will limit the number of shoddy coins that can get listed on licensed EU service providers. Whether that's enough to protect EU citizens from the dirge of dishonest digital asset projects that may not fall within their market in crypto assets or MIFID is another question. but the EU is consulting and revising its approach to regulating digital assets all the time. Perhaps a reclassification of assets that have long been presumed not to be securities will be on the cards eventually. Absolutely. That was another great article there by CoinGeek. Loving that. Loving that. 24 minutes gone already, getting excited. Truth Machine here said, this is big news for BSV, Bitcoin BSV and Satoshi's vision. Justice coming. BSV claims, and then we've got the link to the Tribunal case and the CAT files. What does it here say here? Conclusion. For the foregoing reasons, we intend to grant the applications for certification is approved subject for the requirement at 100 above. That proposed class representatives funder provides an undertaking specifying the requirements for association of litigation funders code of conduct with which the funder will comply in these proceedings upon receipt. That undertaking, subject to any point which could cause us to reconsider, will make the formal order to grant the CPO. This judgment is unanimous. And there, see, look, they've got the names there. Right Honourable Mr. Justice Bacon Chair, Michael Cutting, and John Davies. And again, that will be signed in the future. But we haven't even got the names on that Crypto Open Patent Alliance. Literally nothing. There is nothing. And these are the links. So here it is. Check it out. The Competition Appeal Tribunal. BSV Claims Limited versus Bittylicious and others. Registered 29th of July 2022. Right, that's got to go into Bitcoin history. Here we go. Tribunal. The Honourable Mr. Justice Bacon, Michael Cutting, and John Davies. And then we got documents. Judgment, strikeout, and certification. Transcripts of CPO application hearing. Under order of the President, interim confidentiality ring. Order of the President. Transcript of the that'd be the case management conference. Excellent. It's all coming together. Come on. Right, that is 20, almost comes to 27 minutes. We'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed it. As ever, if you enjoyed these updates, please ding all donations for your appreciation to Satoshi at Senbi.com, Handcash.io, Simply.cash, Relasia.com, Rockwallet.me, or Senti.ch. As ever, be aware, take care, stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next one.